Welcome everybody. So I just wanted to do a quick video of one of the projects I've been working on. I've been digging into a lot of AI stuff, just like seeing what layering we can do with things, how it's reacting to stuff. And this project I've been working on has been a lot of fun. I've been enjoying it. And so just kind of kick it off, AI stuff is getting really interesting just because it's becoming relatively affordable to do an open AI model. Obviously you can pay for stuff and do API token calls and stuff if you have thousands of dollars, but you're starting to see things like the 3080 Ti with 20 gigs of RAM. I saw I think it was 2080, somebody upgraded the RAM from 10 gigs to 20. I saw those cards, someone was actually just doing it professionally. They were selling them, I think they'd be technically used, but they were selling them for like $400 or $500, depending on where you can get them. So I thought that was really interesting, that people are starting to figure out ways to get enough RAM in these things. The reason why that's important is because OpenAI is requiring for it works best if you have at least 20 gigs of VRAM specifically. I was testing out my machine. It's actually running pretty good. This is my virtual machine I have set up. It's got, I think I assigned it 32 cores. Yeah, 32 virtual processors. And then put 120 gigs of RAM in there for it to be able to use. The only problem I'm having is my GPU. It's just my old 1080 graphics card, but it seems like it's doing okay enough. If I needed more pull requests, things like that, I might need to do more. I did need to install the CUDA drivers. I would be curious how the AMD side's working, but I haven't dug into that too much myself. What I've been mostly using is Ollama for everything. This is very easy to run and use. It is running a little bit slow. I'm not sure what specific optimizations I need to make outside of outside of just getting a better graphics card, I think is what the big thing is, unless there's some other maybe storage solution I need to look at, because I am just using some basic SATA SSDs to make this work. But it is working pretty good. I have multiple models I've been testing with. Like GPT has a 120 gigabyte RAM model they use, things like that. I'm still learning quite a bit of this, but anyways, the thing that was really fun is I do have a subscription with ChatGPT, just because with the work I'm doing, it makes things really easy. And then the integration I was testing with is I found that they recently made it so you can actually directly integrate ChatGPT using their Codex API. This one. So you can pair Codex directly with VS Code and have it make changes directly to your code base. Obviously, if you have larger projects, you're going to have to consider ramifications of having this directly integrated into code. But for homebrew applications or just fun silly things like this, it's probably gonna be just fine. So what this bot does, let me go ahead and just get it started. So I have it. I think the biggest problem with, just back while I'm getting this set up, the biggest problem with AI is that it doesn't understand. It's still childlike in terms of usability, so it doesn't always remember to have best practices for things or have a good vision overall of what needs to happen. So you have to still have a good architectural knowledge and security sense around things that you're running, and especially when you're running it like I am against Twitch. Twitch people will try and abuse systems and try and find ways to break things and make things not work properly. Okay, so that's running. I need to fix this information log to be more useful. But what it does is it serves up a website dashboard for me to be able to edit stuff. I can change personality types on the fly, or people can actually call them directly, which is awesome. There's aliases you can use. So if you say, hey, Ortis, tell me a joke, or the personality Ortis will engage with you. So the way it's working is I'm running Python scripts on top, which then point to wherever it needs to go. So the Python will be running on top, and then underneath will be my ollama model that it's doing queries between each other. So these are personality types that I've hard coded in, and I need to tune them some more. But I was just trying to get the initial test situation fixed. Where is it? Here it is. So it's not alphabetical, so it's like driving. No, it is alphabetical. Never mind. Sorry. So I can have personality types baked in here. So that has a prompt that then goes to ollama and says, "Hey, based on this prompt, I want you to respond in that way. I want you to respond." And then I have other stuff that's not in here. That's in the TwitchBot section, where I'll say, "Hey, I want it to be I want it to be a single sentence. Keep it really witty and simple." And kind of tune that kind of stuff a little bit more as time goes on. And then in here, I can change the base personality, the default one. So if someone just says, "Hey, I want to ask a question," or "I want to have a joke," you can do that. Service status, so I can see what's pending. I'm still building out the website. I kind of piece sections together for OpenAI, see how it reacts to it, see if everything's broken. If it's not broken, then move on from there. And then in terms of the community, I'm probably going to restrict this down to VIPs or mods and stuff eventually, so that people that are like subscribed, it's not just any randoms. For now, I'm just doing some testing. You can even have it set people's preferred pronouns, nicknames, who they are, things like that, how they identify basically. If you want to be identify as a unicorn or a furry, you can definitely do that. And the cool thing is, I've gotten OpenAI to help me train the ollama model to say, "Hey, respect their pronouns, respect their identity." So if they have a preferred identity, it will respect those things and respond to you in those pronouns that you've requested. I might need to tune some of the more unusual ones, but that's something really cool that I can add in there. Same thing with affinity. I'm going to keep on tuning this, but basically affinity is just like the likability of the person to the AI. So if you're abusing the AI, it's going to respond badly to you and give you minus points like I did here. So this happened because I have a feed mechanic where if I do exclamation mark and then feed and then I add, probably in here. Yeah, so I fed it like tacos is what I think of the original example I did. And it's like, since it's Mochi Princess, it's the personality of a princess. She's like, "Oh, I'm a princess. I don't eat peasant food." And then she gave me minus points. It was hilarious. But the cool thing is I can override the delta and make it so she actually likes these foods or things like that, and adjust things. So I'm getting it to like that. Same thing with like jokes and stuff. I can actually have it, someone can ask for a joke, and if we have pre-saved ones, it has a parameter for either create a new one or use a pre-existing one. So I could create a whole list of like funny dad jokes about a specific topic, and then if someone brings up that topic, it can reference that SQL database that I've set up for those jokes. So that makes it a lot of fun. But this is all little things I'm trying to figure out how we can integrate, see how far we can make this work. So in practice, if I go to Twitch And if I do like feed gummies, and it'll increase or decrease the affinity, and it should give a response. Like I said, I've been breaking this thing like crazy. So let's see if oh, this is something I've been seeing. Sometimes with the first time request I submit, it will have to load up the AI model, which is fine. This is an ollama. You just do a command ollama serve, and then it serves it. So yeah, she didn't like it for some reason. I think that's just some tuning I might need to do. What's another food item? Raspberries. So that's a positive one. It looks like the fun thing is like these aren't pre-baked in here. They're just like, hey, give a random reaction for some of the stuff. Or I don't know if I'm gonna be able to tune that specifically, but the cool thing is in that dashboard, like I said, I can actually see what foods people are giving mochi and see how that goes. I believe I set it up to. Let me see if I did this. Too many windows. Feed, Space Mom, Goldfish. No, that didn't work. Feed, Space Mom. Space Mom is Lotus. Huh. Nope, I didn't. I was trying to make it so you can have the bot specifically, but it's fine. I'll figure that out. Still playing around with this stuff. Figuring out what's working, what's not. It should be fun though. So that's currently set to Ortus, I believe. Yeah, so it's doing orbiter type jokes. Oh, I think this one is I couldn't fetch it for some reason. I don't know. Anyways, this has been the fun pet project I've been having. I'm planning on getting like talk to text to work. Talk to text, so it's actually do like on-screen stuff, or I can actually tune those voices to be specific for each character. And then I was looking at adding GIFs as well, which will allow me to very easily just take that GIF and like have it posted on the screen as a WebSocket. If you know what that means, basically just makes it so it shows up on screen, because it's too hard to. Twitch doesn't have like a built-in, very easily built-in GIF addition feature. I'd have to use like an extension of some sort to collaborate those two things. But because I didn't have it built in there, I think I'm just going to do it on screen and have it pick either specific or random type of GIFs to put on there. The cool thing is I could also integrate this into like VTuber stuff as well eventually. Because you can, but the cool thing with the VTuber stuff is you can have emotions around things. So like with Mochi, for instance, which is the cat I was talking about, when you go to feed Mochi, if it's, I could create like here's a Monster Energy drink, and it'll show like the cat playing with Monster Energy drink can, or giving it a can, or boba tea or whatever, giving it head pats. I think I did a. I can't remember which of the commands were, but this is all just fun stuff. I'm just figuring out how to. I could code a lot of this, but it's a lot more fun to just say, hey, here's my list of needs, telling ChatGPT that, see how it looks at the end. I review the code, see if it's in line with what I was thinking, and then see what the outputs end up looking like. What does the dashboard look like? And the cool thing with like the dashboard stuff is I could probably share this with people. Like I could host it somewhere with mods and stuff. Or one thing I was really thinking about that might what's really funny is like because Discord's pretty easy to create bots around, so I could easily have it integrated into Discord or Twitch, like I have done here. I almost wondered if I could get it into some other apps like Slack or Teams, but that might be logistically more complicated. But one of the other fun things I was thinking was, as I was thinking through some of this stuff, when I could easily build a wrapper for banning people, like auto bans, instead of having Twitch manage that as much, because that's where I usually just have it auto managed. And then my community is pretty small still, but I could easily have this bot just based on like how mean sounding they are, because it obviously has an AI attribute that's actually able to reference those conversations and say, hey, I don't like this conversation. Or even in the dashboard, I could easily just have a button here and I could just block people, like, hey, go ahead and ban this person for the because of this conversation they had, and then have it say in chat that why they're being banned, and then post in like my Discord, and then that way we can all roast the person. Things like that. I could easily have it just stack multiple different variations. But the fun thing with the AI is that it's not rigid. So that's usually been the problem when I was doing some of my other projects is everything felt rigid, and you'd see the same things over and over again. But by adding the AI, you could have a little bit more personality and variability in it. But by having the Python part on top of the AI makes it so that the requests aren't all have to go to the AI, so the AI is not getting overwhelmed. But then also I can have a little bit more control and deciding which avenue the code's going to be going down, which makes it fun. This all makes sense to me, at least. I'm still pretty new to a lot of the programming stuff, but I've been around enough programmers and restructuring of code to go, hey, this doesn't feel right. We need to fix this. Especially with what I'm doing right now at work, I'm doing a lot of Python scripting, and I'm using a lot of ChatGPT to help build the structure of it. And then I'll have to go and review everything for security and just make sure everything's making sense. So that's why this is so much fun for me, because I can go, okay, we can have feed preferences. The dashboard itself has a bunch of different parts to it that we can easily add in. Stuff like having a ban button or just a lot of variability. That's what's great about HTML. You don't have to build the app. You just have it build a website for you, and then you can just reference that website from that URL, which then that URL can be hosted on your local network, which allows me to get access to it anywhere. So I can, grab this from any point in time. I don't get why it's using Python for the dashboard, but I find that kind of strange. I might need to make an actual HTML file and actually review this code at some point. But overall, it's been good enough. But the nice thing I love about ChatGPT is it just gets everything. I built this in like within 2 hours. I was up and running. I was on my iPad, logged into my virtual machine, coding this. And I was just saying, hey, ChatGPT, I don't like these things. This is what's broken. Here's I had it create log files around everything, so I can just easily just say, hey, here's the logs of what's broken. This one, for instance, is just because I don't have the VTuber app connected right now. But I can usually just copy and paste the log. And then have it just go, oh yeah, we put these errors in these specific locations. This is what this error message is referencing to. Let's go ahead and just fix that. And then it'll ask me to confirm the code snippet, and then I'll just hit apply, and it'll automatically inject the modified code. I'll go run it again. Some of the stuff I was having to do, I was actually doing. I'm not going to try and find it, but it was actually testing the scripts itself to make sure they actually were valid before it finished with me saying, hey, everything's ready and good to go. Go ahead and test it out now. And then I'd go test it and then make some, say, hey, this is the error message I'm getting, or this is the reaction I'm getting inside my Twitch chat. But because of the tools that already were built in, like Twitch.io, I'm able to just very quickly just pick up those existing tools. AI is able to go, okay, these are the parameters around this code base that's already there, and then work from it. There's a lot of little things like that. Sorry, I might just be rambling, but this has been really exciting for me. These are some of the pet projects where you're just like, as a community, you can easily just like, hey, this is entertaining. I can have it create mini games on the fly. We could do like D&D campaigns on the fly, and I can actively adjust those stories based on where we're going on the back end, and kind of make this a really fun thing for us to do. Like, hey, we want to play Wordle today, but let's stick it with randomized word phrases for the game that we're playing. So like Warframe, we want it on a dark theme, have some fun animation effects. All that stuff can be easily done through ChatGPT. Just figure out how it's working with stuff. Are there better code editors like Claude and stuff? Yes. Google's really fantastic with image creation. Grok is kind of just unhinged, just kind of works. I still don't understand how it's working sometimes, but Claude is definitely up there as well. I think Grok is starting to get more funding, and they're kind of pushing their engineers a lot harder than anybody else. I think that's why Grok's trying to pull ahead. That and Elon's just bullying the crap out of like NVIDIA to get them more hardware to get things done. But from just like, hey, I got a computer in my basement and I'm using a little bit of AI on top. I have a lot of good system knowledge, and I've troubleshot stuff enough that I can generally get through a lot of this stuff. I'm doing okay so far. I was really impressed with Codex and how it's reacting to stuff. So they've been definitely changed this from where I was working with it before. So I definitely recommend checking it out and see if it works for you. One thing I would note is if you're getting stuck, go do some research. Step away from the AI, go do some hard research. Go figure out and think about how these systems interconnect and how fundamentally they are working. Because AI won't always tell you, no, that's stupid. And that's probably the biggest problem I have with AI, is it's not at that point where it can make senior engineering decisions on your stupid ideas. That's probably the biggest problem. So that's why I sometimes will have to go review it and just kind of mentally sink all that stuff in. But that's because I've worked on enough systems now that I can at least generally know pretty good what's wrong, what's the wrong path, what's the right path, and then correct it. Say, hey, no, my preference is something completely different than what AI is recommending. I don't know what bastard child you're making, but please stop. And I have to sometimes give it code examples from GitHub repos and say, hey, let's actually try this instead. I think this is a better avenue. Or just completely just start a whole new conversation with ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm working on this project. What would you recommend? How would you start this conversation? And then start working from there and have it give you some ideas, give you some examples. You go do your homework and all that stuff, figure out what you want, and then start jumping into your code project. Really outline every single part you want. Do you want this to just be one massive script or a bunch of simpler scripts? I have config files and stuff. Sometimes ChatGPT doesn't always do a config file. It tries to put your API keys in line with your script. I hate doing that because then I can't show you guys what I'm working on because my API key is at the very top. So stuff like that, I'm just like frustrated, but we're getting there. I think the code is getting there. It does try to use older repositories sometimes, so you have to be aware of what repositories it's using and why it's using them. That's a big gotcha that does happen. But yeah, this has been fun. I think it's fun that you can. I'm integrating pronouns and stuff into the chat just to make it so that it can identify who you are, if you're male or female or whatever. Stuff like that, make it really fun. But I'll keep on growing it and building it, and you might see that on my streams or as I'm doing stuff. So anyways, I'm going to stop it here, but into my rant. I just wanted to show you how fun this is. This gets me excited because I don't have to spend a whole day just trying to figure out how to get the code in place. I can just use best practices out the gate, give it very clear instructions from a high level perspective, and get work from there instead of having to work from the bottom up. Just me working all day and stuff, it makes it more sense, especially for the stuff I'm doing. I don't know how like an actual business is going to be running this stuff, just because of the security concerns you'd probably have with an AI using your stuff. But anyways, you guys have a great day. Hopefully this gives you some ideas, and maybe do more coding streams or just coding projects together if this takes off. We've always got more dumb ideas we can build. But this is manageable for me. I would like to go towards the video game side more, but I'm having a lot of fun with this at the same time. So this is a good first step for me, and going from there. So you guys have a great day. Thanks a lot.